each pilot is checked the equivalent of 17 times a year on various things. We've got 4 sessions in a simulator that are pass-fail, and then there are a number of other bits and pieces that we have to refresh them on through the year. So there's a lot of ongoing training, even in the business with our guys of my age. So they had years and years of it. So I look after all that side of it, but not the training. So I actually run the personnel side of the company. I have been in the training side. I've done 23 years in the training business as well with the company. It's teaching people or checking pass-fail again. So I've got a fairly wide background in that. Well, how did I get to where I am today, standing in front of you? I actually did join the Air Force. I'll have to just pass one little comment. There was a headmaster we had at Gisborne who was also the careers advisor. You may remember him. And he whistled me into his office about 3 months before I was due to leave the school and said, "Well, Donnelly, what are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to be a pilot, sir." He said, "Well, I can say to you, for as long as your bottom points vertically down, you'll never be a pilot." And that was the careers advice I got. And I thought to myself, do I say something or do I not? So I'd actually applied to the Air Force and just a week before got through the first part of it. His name pops up again. I won't mention his name, but it comes up again. Anyway, I managed to get into the Air Force and get through the wings course, 18 months wings course. There were 280 roughly applicants for the course. We started finally on the flying side with 48 of us, and at the end of it there were 9 pilots and 3 navigators left, which gives you an idea of where all your money goes with the military. What we used to call the chop rate was very, very high. Having got through that, my instructor looked at me and said, "Donnelly, you can't count to 2, so you're going to go and fly vampires." So funny. And he's still around. I see him regularly. So off I went and flew vampires. Some of you people remember the Air Force in the 60s. That was 1965. I did 2 years flying vampires. And the only thing I can remember with them was always in a rush. I was always short of fuel because it never took much fuel, and we were always shooting guns at them. We used to have 4 20mm cannons in this wooden framed aeroplane, and every time you fired them, the cockpit would fill up with dust. I'm pretty sure it was bora dust. The vibration was amazing when we fired these guns. So that was the start. So at the age of 19, I was flashing around firing guns at targets and whatever. And that took me from there on vampires to flying, within 2 years, flying Canberras, which were a twin-engine bomber. This thing was the size of a house to me. It was huge, enormous. Anyway, at the age of 20 or 21, I climbed into this thing and off I went. The Air Force seemed to get me safe enough, and I was all over the place in that aeroplane. We were down to, right down to the Southern Islands, for instance. We used to go to Campbell Island, and I got shot at for the first time in my life at the Chathams. The boss one day said, "Donnelly, go to the Chathams." Do any of you remember the crayfish wars that were going on in the 60s? The boss said, "Go down there and give them a fright." "Yes, sir," I said. Absolutely bulletproof. These guys had shotguns on their boats. They were shooting at each other. That's why they sent us down. When they all decided to hell with each other. Luckily, I was doing about 400 knots at the time, so it all went behind me. I came back. I never knew that. I came back and the boss said, "Oh, we've had reports you got shot at. We would have a look at the aeroplane," but there were no marks then. So that was my first episode of guns coming the other way. So flew Canberras, and we went all over the place. We went as far as the Maldives, up through Asia, Hong Kong, So by the age of 22, I'd sort of been all around that area, and the boss nailed me and said, "It's time you had a tour in Vietnam." And I went, "Ooh, do I really need this?" Well, there was no choice, I was on the way. And that was in October '69, and I got basically a week's notice to go and do this thing. I didn't know what I was going to go and do, and it turned out that I was going to be a forward air controller with the United States Air Force. Yes, the United States coming into it. And my boss was a Texan, and he was about 6'5". Gosh, he was a big man. And I ended up getting sent up there to a place called Donnelly, which is way up north, near the top water. And we did a course in 10 days from leaving New Zealand. I was qualified on an aeroplane that I couldn't spell 10 days earlier. Fully combat qualified day and night in 10 days. And I got rattled back down to the base I was going to start at, a place called Cu Chi. I don't know if any of you have read a book called the Cu Chi, Tunnels of Cu Chi. If you ever want to read an interesting book, it's all about the Viet Cong digging all these tunnels all around the western area of Saigon out to the west. And I was on the base there for the full time I was in Vietnam. And of course these tunnels were just all under our base, and they used to pop up through holes and do awful things from time to time. So I was sent there, and the job started. Really, I look back on it now, and it's a long time ago, but the things that really struck me about going into combat was the fact that there was no front line. I'd always read books and comics and seen movies about World War II, where there was always a line where the baddies were on that side and the goodies were this side, and that was it. So you all went up to the good side of the line and then did your business. This job I had, the moment you climbed into the cockpit, you actually armed everything up, all your guns and your rockets and things, because the moment you went over the fence off the end of the runway, you were in bad land. So there were no lines of conflict anywhere. And that really struck me to start with. I just couldn't get my head around that for the first week or two. But